Tucked away in this Washington suburb of Tacoma Park is Mansa Kunda, a restaurant that has been described as a gateway into West Africa, from the food to its decor. Originally from the Gambia, Mansa Kunda founder Hatib Joof tells me that even though he is not a trained chef, he wanted to share an important part of his culture with the rest of the world: food. Let's talk about Mansa Kunda.
Yeah.
The name Mansa Kunda, what does that mean, and what kind of food do you cook in your kitchen? Talk to us about some of them.
So, I decided not to go with a more catchy name because you want it to be very, very short, something that people can remember right away. But I also want to shove the name down people's throats because the word Mansa is known throughout West Africa. Okay, because one of our greatest rulers was Mansa Musa. There you go. Now, so if you separate it, the word Mansa means king. Musa was King Musa.
King Musa, yeah.
Okay, for example, if you want to say a king who's a male figure, it's Mansa K. If you want to say a queen, it's Mansa Muso. Okay. So Mansa itself is the king, but then the Kunda means a domain. So king's domain is Mansa Kunda. So for example, if you're speaking Mandingo and you want to say the government, if I were to say Jackson's government, I would say Jackson's Mansa Kunda as should have been president. You understand? So the language itself is not complex. It's just a matter of understanding it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in my part of the world, most of our languages, if not all of them, are not written.
Yeah.
You know. So
no written record of,
exactly
of how it is. Alphabet.
We do not have alphabet.
Yeah.
That is why if you walk into the restaurant, I do have books. You understand? So once in a while, once people come in, and I hope they're impressed and they want to learn more, at least there are books there for them to look at
and learn. And they have a visual representation
exactly
of where the food they're eating comes from. And the other thing that also I don't want to forget this. I want you to also talk about the art, because that looks very intentional in the way the kind of art you have in there, the space.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk into the space, doesn't look like this around us. It looks different. It's like you're entering a different portal, a different dimension.
Which was the whole idea? Because I wanted, I can't tell you more about Africa. You probably know more about Africa than I do. But I wanted, no. You have traveled more than I have. However, I wanted someone who hasn't had the experience of going to Africa and who've always wondered about how we live. The restaurant, I hope, represents what I call modern Africa, where you come in for an hour or two, you forget that you're in America. You forget that you're in the heart of Tacoma Park. Okay? And I hope that your experience, would actually tease your curiosity to go
to the mother,
find out more.
Yes.
And if I can achieve that, I would call myself a success. And when we go back to the artwork, I love art. My basement is full of artwork that I'm trying to find a home for. I am a collector
of African
art specifically, and good photography. I choose some of the works that I've collected to put them in the restaurant, so that when people come in, they would actually understand that yes, with our painters, with our sculptures, we have musicians and everything else, and it represents that aspect of our cultural background. You understand?
So let's talk about the food. So you prepare West African cuisine.
Yes.
What does West African cuisine consist of? What are some of the main dishes in the cuisine?
So I'm going to start from the back. Africa is the last place on earth that's organic, not by design. You understand? We eat what we grow. We eat what is there naturally. It's funny that you come to America and go to Whole Foods. By the time you leave, you spend $200 for something that we take for granted back home. People grow what they eat, and they eat what they grow. So when I sat down, I decided to put pen to paper and to see what dishes that I would like to offer. It wasn't really Jackson was going to sell. What exactly can I put on this menu that when people walk in, the only Africans may say, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this. But everyone else would be hesitant to say, well, I don't know this, what is it? What that does is, obviously, it delays service in the restaurant. But then every table that you walk into, you will find yourself explaining the dish that is about to be served. And then
You become a teacher.
exactly, and then it meanders to actually our culture again, sometimes politics.
With that in mind, Joof designed a menu that reflects a selection of his favorite dishes that he enjoyed growing up in Gambia. He serves the food in a space decorated with all kinds of authentic cultural artifacts, art, and furniture from his homeland.
So I've picked dishes from Gambia, Senegal, which is the same. Gambia is like the heartbeat of Senegal. We're right in the middle of Senegal. And then you have Sierra Leone. Then you have Liberia, Ghana. We have food that is incorporated with shito. And then we have Nigerian food. Ivorian, we have acheke. Also, myself, a vegetarian. I used to be the person who would go to an African restaurant, or perhaps not an African restaurant, and ordering a salad here. They're trying to
create a vegetarian dish that
exactly
is delicious.
Restaurant, 80% of the menu can be vegetarian.
Yes.
What that does is, if you choose to entertain someone here, when they come in, they would find something that they would like in the menu too. So I've incorporated some things in the menu that will serve me, because I was very selfish of myself, but also, and we're in the middle of the Tacoma Park, which is, people call Tacoma Park people tree huggers, dam. It's very, very green.
Yes.
And I chose this location.
I think you're very intentional in many things. Again, as a person who knows Tacoma Park very well, I lived in this area before.
Yeah.
One of the most unique spaces in the world.
It is.
Not just in the U.S., in the world. It retains an aspect of time that dates back so many years, but also in the modern era. Yeah. And it is, I remember this because around 2003, 2004, this was the only space where the political leadership of Tacoma Park actually condemned the Iraqi war. Yeah. They actually went to...
Yeah, but it has gone further, because I have wanted a place where also when you come in, it resembles the America that you and I come to.
Yeah.
A place where you will see people of different backgrounds, different races.
Very diverse.
Very diverse. It was intentional. And it worked. I wanted a place that looked like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. How that helped the restaurant arena was that during the pandemic, I have people who've never walked into the door come in and knock. Are you open? I wanted to make sure that you're open. Is there any way I can buy a gift certificate?
Just to support you.
To support the business. And that was one of the reasons why I never regretted coming to the neighborhood, because I know that
the communities with you, they care
behind it.
Yeah.
And the people around here are extremely curious
about other cultures.
That's true. And there are a lot of mixed race couples here. It gives you an idea, of where I'm heading with this.
The restaurant attracts clients of all backgrounds, and one of the frequent customers is Johari Abdul Malik, a local imam who started patronizing the restaurant after his trip to Senegal and Gambia. He says that Mansa Kunda serves as a bridge for the local community to experience the West African culture.
The other part of this that for me is fascinating is that as we bring people who are Americans here, it is a kind of gastronomic tourism. They get to taste Africa while being in America. They taste the flavor of Africa in America, which then begins to bring it closer together. Maybe, people think Africa's far away. It's only after you begin tasting it, then you say, oh, it's in me.
And yes, so it has become our home. Now, I cannot tell you that the journey has been easy. because I'm still working on it. You know,
It's an ongoing journey.
it's an ongoing
And
journey.
I used to come here during the pandemics a lot. And I remember sometimes we'll probably be the only people sitting outside, but there was some traffic coming
Yes.
in and out.
Yes.
And you had a certain resiliency and attitude about yourself. It did not feel like you're struggling at all. You always had a smile.
No.
You would make us free food. You make us free beignets. Even something that is not on the menu that day.
Yeah.
I'd ask for it and you're like, don't worry about it right away. It felt like home.
So,
You know.
my father told me once that the only successful person in the world is the person that you can look right in the face and can tell the problems he has.
You're able to mask it.
You have to mask it, you know. So yes, like I said, the pandemic hit everyone. But what it also did is that it separated the men from the boys.
Yeah.
If you're meant to be in the business, you're still in it. You understand? It was one of the most difficult things that we had to go through as businesses, not only restaurants, but across the board. It has changed the field tremendously. But we're trying to get back into it. We're people who are working at home to go back into the offices, and because then the economy obviously will start to grow again like it was. Because a lot of times you speak to people that say, well, there's no culture in America. Well, America's culture is also changed because you go to Europe or Africa, you can skip 10 years and you go back, the same things that are still there. In America, they will probably demolish the building and put another one. So the culture here has changed. And so what you want to do is to incorporate yourself within those changes, you know?
Move
and
with the times.
Yeah, move with the times. And I think that is slowly getting there. I cannot tell you that we're out of the woods yet, you know, because the graph is still extremely steep, you know, and in some cases lateral. As we're speaking right now, I consider myself extremely blessed that I have the traffic I have.
He says that it was a struggle to self-finance the project because he had to dip into his personal savings. You're not using big bank money. This is your own finance. It's your own saving.
It actually
And love and passion.
it actually gives you sleepless nights, you know. But you know, if I were to do it again, I'll do it.
Yeah.
What was supposed to be a labor of love is all labor now.
Yeah.
I find myself sometimes mopping the floor. I find myself in the kitchen helping cooking.
You do everything.
And I do everything.
When the first time I came here, I didn't think that you're the business owner. I was like, this very fancy restaurant.
Which is exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really matter who owns the restaurant.
Yes.
As long as you come in and you have a great time, that is what the intention is. Up till now, I haven't spent a penny on advertisement. It's all about you coming over here, telling someone else who tells someone else. And
They say something about you. It says something about you, the owner, if you're able to get people to be your ambassadors outside of this place.
and that's very kind of you. But in most cases, people always see the part that shines.
Yes. They don't
You understand?
back. Yeah.
And when I go home and take a shower, and I sit down in my study, and I start putting numbers together.
You look at the numbers, yes.
Exactly. And one of the most difficult times in business for me was during the pandemic when I had to lay people off. It took me a whole month to prepare myself to do that. Because
What was your staff level pre-pandemic?
the pandemic, I was spoiled. So full-time, part-time, I was between 22 to 30.
Wow.
Yes, because I opened very, very early. I serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And during the weekends, we open late. People to come in, dine, and lounge. Tastefully. So, but then again, all died out during the pandemic. And you have people who show up every day, Jackson. Do whatever you ask them to do. All they ask you at the end of the pay period is to hand them a paycheck. And to look the person in the eye, to tell them you have to go home to your wife and your kids, and to tell them that as of today, I'm jobless. I don't really care if the government helps them or not. It was still rough for me to do it. And honestly, as a businessman, I should be able to stomach that. But then that's when the African in me comes out. The sense of community. the sense of responsibility, the sense of we are all in it together, of humanity. Yeah. I have never doubted that if I just close my eyes and do what I know to do. I have never been to culinary school, and I've learned the trade in the job. And I figured if I can just do what I know I can do, okay, it is inevitable. That's how I see
the numbers will start making sense.
No, success is relative.
Let's talk a little bit. That's true.
Success is relative.
I agree with you.
Let's
talk about the food, because I want to talk about the thing about this. When you talk about business, can be very depressing. When you hear again, that's going into the minutia. Yeah. We don't know what is going in the back. We're eating the delicious food.
Exactly.
We see the happy faces, the great service. We don't know what is going on, and can be quite depressing when people.
It could be very, very satisfactory also.
Exactly.
Because I can tell you, firsthand, that when you cook a dish, and the waiter or the waitress takes it to a table, and it comes back empty, you look at it going through the dishwasher, and you go, did this person consume everything?
They enjoyed it, yes.
Okay, that is very, very rewarding. Not only for the proprietor, but the person who actually cooks the food.
Absolutely.
And also our portions are a little on the light side, because also it carries a little bit of our heritage.
You serve in abundance.
Well, you serve in abundance. Yes. And then because we eat communally, so you eat until you can't eat anymore, you wash your hands and you leave, and then somebody, and that's basically it. Quite often, I'd have someone go, oh my God, your portions are so big.
How do you make money? How do you make profits here?
And I said, well, it is part of, the culture. Whereas you can't leave here hungry. I'd rather you leave with something as to take home. Either to serve next day or put it in the microwave in your office, and everybody goes, "What the smell from?"
Yes, that happens all the time.
So it's a give or take. Part of the abundance in food is probably what I would have paid for an advertisement anyway. So it revolves around to be exactly what I intended for it to be. Now, the food itself, I would admit that we have gotten it much better in terms of taste, in terms of, rapidness, the times that it came. You look at my reviews when I first started the restaurant, people complain a lot about the amount of time it took. But knowing full well that African cuisine is being cooked. You understand?
It's not pre-cooked.
No, I don't have. I or any other African restaurant, so to speak, and I'm sure I can speak for them. We don't have the luxury of having a Cisco truck, or international gourmet truck start in our parking lot and deliver frozen food, so we can hit it in the microwave. Or no, we can't do that. We peel scratch. We peel our own onions. We dice our own onion. We peel our own potatoes. We do everything in-house. What does it tell you? Our cost is higher because that's all labor. So we don't charge enough.
I know, absolutely.
We don't charge enough.
Absolutely not.
But we have to have an equilibrium to where we know, okay, fine. There's always a balance between maximum customer satisfaction and maximum profitability. If you can find the balance, you're in good shape. We're always trying to find the balance.
Yeah, exactly. It's a journey.
Yeah. So, most of the food that we prepare here has been made to look extremely fancy. But most of it is street food, which most African food is. You're in a hurry, you rush in, there's somebody grilling something in the street, something your mother tells you not to eat. Well, we've made it fancy, both in the way we present it, the way we cook it. If you look at my kitchen, it is designed so much so that you can actually, if you're walking back and forth to the restaurants, you can see the person cooking your food. That was intentional, okay? Because I was trying to earn the respect of those who still have doubt, in many things. To be conservative, I would say our kitchen discipline.
Kitchen
As
discipline.
an African.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean.
Just being transparent about,
exactly.
yeah.
That wasn't for you. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for my fellow Africans. It was for those who still have a doubt about
How is this food made? Yes, yeah.
how is it,
Yeah.
who's preparing.
Originally from Ghana, Kwame says that aside from enjoying his favorite dishes like fufu, he appreciates the other aspects of the food culture at Mansa Kunda, like the custom of washing his hands in a gourd before digging into his favorite dish.
When they brought the fufu out, I was surprised because it looked just like my kind of food from Ghana. The okra soup, the stew, the meat, the fufu, everything looked just like what I would have back home. My grandmother would have made for me. And when I ate it, it was right on point, right on point. Besides the food, what I really appreciate most about this restaurant, apart from the fact that, of course, it represents the presence of authentic African culture in America. Apart from that fact, I appreciate the fact that even the service is very African.
We're making steps towards the right direction. Where I started, you were a journalist, an entrepreneur, a taxi driver, a limo driver, a doctor, a lawyer in India. Within our actual African community, we and our disciplines were very, very diverse. And it is transferring slowly back to our continent. The idea is to read the things that are good, incorporate it with our culture and our land, and the things that we know best, to make sure that we have a continent that our kids someday can inherit future generation and say, if we're lucky, some of us will mention,
The legacy, the name will carry on.
Yes,
And the good work.
the good work.
Listen, there's no way better way to end this conversation. I just want to thank you for taking the time, for just always being an amazing human being and being such a great entrepreneur, being a great ambassador for the West African cuisine, but also Africa in general, and doing it despite all the hardships and maintaining a smile on your face.
I think Jackson, I have to actually flip the table and say thank you so very much for having the ability and being part of a media that can expose some of the things that we have to offer to the rest of the world. You're a good person, and I hope you continue to grow. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Let's go in and cook some food.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes.